During the early 80s, there was a defense whose name fit, both literally and figuratively, the Killer Bees.
One of the local media pundits here realized that a good number of players on our team, their last names began with B.
Doug Betters, Bo Camper,
Baumhauer, Brzezinski, Blackwood Brothers,
Glenn and Lyle,
Brown, Brophy,
Charlie Bowser.
There were a lot of bees on that team.
Killer Bees. A perfect name for them. We swarm a lot. They flew around. They were all over the field. They hit people.
There was actually a time in the last 2 decades when it was the Miami defense that made all the highlights. A unit made up of interchangeable parts in which any of the 11 men could effectively rush the passer on any given play. By 1982, the Killer Bees were the top-ranked defense in the NFL, and their sting could be felt both on and off the field.
The offense are number one. We got defense.
I can recall being out on the practice field dressed in bee costumes and doing a poster.
They're all dressed up in the bee outfits or whatever, which I thought was pretty cool.
Every now and then I see one of those posters and I kind of cringe at the thought of doing the thing.
I think they loved it. As a matter of fact, I think they had part of making it up.
A killer bee, a killer bee, a killer bee, a killer bee.
Whether it was selling merchandise, cutting a record, or swarming on the gridiron, the Killer Bees stuck together, rendering the phrase team defense more than just a cliche.
There's nothing that I'd rather be than be a killer bee. Yahoo!
We didn't have the individual star, the standout type of player, but we had a lot of guys that took a lot of pride in team defense. I think Bill Arnsparger, our defensive coach, had a lot to do with that.
People accepting their role and realizing that they can make just about anything happen if they don't care who gets the credit.
So you had a number of young players that weren't that good to begin with, but we grew as a unit, and we grew as a unit on the field and off the field.
And we knew what each other's strengths were, and we played off of those.
Those strengths were twofold: an on-the-field effort that was truly 100%, and a complete knowledge and understanding of the game and of each other, which transformed a unit lacking remarkable talent into the league's best.
You'd be at the line of scrimmage, and I'd look over at Baumhauer or Betters and maybe just give them a nod, and they knew exactly what I was thinking.
There's certain teams when you play against them, you know that mentally it's going to be more of a challenge than physically. And with Miami, it was always that way. They seem to be right there in the huddle with you sometimes and able to read your mind.
The crowning achievement came in the '82 AFC Championship, where on a rain-soaked field, the Killer Bees grounded their arch-rival Jets, holding them to just 139 yards in a 14-0 washout.
We played, awesome that day. There was another one. Arnsey made us so well prepared for the game.
The last interception that AJ got to run back for a touchdown, we had prepared for that play, and there it came, and man, it worked perfect. I mean, we nailed it.
And I'll never forget that, because afterwards, Arnsey, he cried, and he is very proud of us, the way we played.
Their 2 Super Bowl appearances within 3 seasons bound them together forever. And now the Bees have again joined forces, this time in support of number 75 Doug Betters, who suffered a broken neck in a tragic skiing accident last February.
It's just tough for me to go and see him like that. Such a big guy, such an active guy.
Nobody could hurt Doug. Doug was like the strong guy on our team. That couldn't happen to Doug.
I did a good job on it. I broke my neck pretty good, and it's not one of those things that's going to get fixed up in 6 months.
The first thing you think of is, what can I do? What can we do? How can you help the guy? What can we do to make things easier for him?
What they've done is sponsor charity events to raise money in support of their fallen teammate.
Well, he's a fighter, and that's what made him such a great player for me, and that's what's going to help him beat this.
Doug will be okay. I'm very excited about the way that this team has rallied around him. It was sad to see him come back in that way, but it's also grateful to see everybody come back and support one of ours.
You know they're always there for you, and that's the nice part. I appreciate all the help that the Dolphins have done, and we're going to get through this thing. I'm going to walk again someday.